Well, hello and welcome to Physics Games. In today's video, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks and keys that are available in the Level Prefab editor. I spent a lot of time making these things. It's time to share with you. Many of the keys that we use in the Level World Editor are the debug keys. I've got loads of videos covering them, so see the links below. And of course, come to Discord if you want to, get a bit of help there. We'll be looking at how we select things underground and overground today, and how to use this box properly. We'll also be placing blocks down. We're making them all pretty with a lick of paint. And I'll show you how to go up to, say, any old block and decide, yeah, I want a copy of that block, all painted up and beautiful, just like that. We're also going to show you other and more advanced tips and tricks where you can take a nice flat surface like this tarmac here, and I'll be able to manipulate it to make it look a little bit more crazy and bring up some features from underneath. We'll also be able to go up to lovely flat bits of ground like this and make them undulating so it looks a little bit better as you're walking through. And of course, this kind of error that people see where you don't quite get nice grass butted up against, I'll show you how to sort that. And don't forget, for the very advanced users, if you want to be able to place some of these little things on the floor, these are the decals, and I'll show you this. And these decals can only be placed on certain terrains, except if I show you how to get them placed on a beautiful flat surface. So join me, let's start off with those keys. Well, here we are at Jericho Ranch, so I can tell you just a little subtle difference between the normal debug keys and what you get in the Level Prefab editor, and that's the Q key, because Q is God mode on and off, but as you can see in the bottom left there, the God mode is always on in this little editor. So the Q and H are exactly the same in this mode, and that is fly on and off. Be very careful when you're at the side of a POI, maybe for, I don't know, maybe about 20 blocks worth, because when you press Q, you do fly right down there, and it can bug out on you, so be careful. If you are further away and you press Q, then you do not fall down, but you can't use your WSAD, so you have to press Q again to get out of that. And then people always ask me, how do you jump forward? Well, Shift and Q makes you jump forward, and the one that many people don't realise is Control, Shift and Q makes you jump all the way backwards. Now, this isn't actually a video that's going to show you everything that's in the Prefab editor. That'll take a whole series. If you're looking for that, please, of course, tell me in the comments. But one of the keys is Escape, and if you go to Escape, then you're going to find the debug tools, the level tools, and the Prefab browser. You can also find that by pressing K and clicking on Dynamic Prefabs if you want to have an extra button to click. And if we go in here, we can type in, let's say, business, and let's go to the Bear Den. That's Country Town Business 03. So let's get stuck into showing you how the selection tool works. Now, this is not a selected area as such. This is a POI category marker, and I'm using my left click on the mouse button to select it. I don't like having this in here when I'm editing a POI. It helps the POI itself blend into the road system. If you press Escape and you go into Level Tools, you can click on Show Category POI Marker, and it will disappear and it's out of the way. So what do you do to get these lovely selections? We're going to press Z, and we get a little box. If we go and place our marker elsewhere, we can press Z again, and it expands that box outwards. We can also press backspace to get rid of it, and the other option is to press and hold Z and then move your cursor, and you can select the region that you want. If you press the G key and you hold the G key, you see these X, Y, Z markers, and this allows you to move that selected box to any position that you would like. If you hold Shift and hold down G, then you get this kind of array, which is, well, it has little squares at the end, and this allows you to actually extend the boxes or decrease the size of the boxes, because you can then make it any larger volume that you want. So here we have highlighted a car with a box, and I'm going to show you how to move this about. If I hold Control and then hold G down, we get this set of icons with little lines on the end, and when I press these in any direction, it does a little bit of a flip, and it doesn't matter which end you press, you can basically flip them in different directions. If I do this, I can move it across, or if I use these, I can turn it upside down. It's a bit of hassle, and sometimes it messes up the road, but it is very useful with certain objects in your POI. Now let's take another selection over here. This time I'll show you. We'll press Z, and then I think I'll hold down Shift G and bring this box selection across and over and maybe out to highlight these little lovely stairs here. What if I press the J key? Well, that actually fills everything with air. It deletes everything that's in there. And if I take a block that's in my hand, for example, these lovely blocks of concrete, and I press L, it will fill everything in that box with those blocks. There's also the option to, well, it doesn't look very good, does it? To fix your mistakes. And if I press Control Z, that will undo my last task with any copying or pasting. And if I press Control Z again, oh, phew, the stairs are back again. There are other things you can do with the selection box. Here's that beautiful car that's upside down. But if I make a selection, for example, like this, because it's on a surface, then I can't see the line at the bottom to see how deep this actually is. So if I hold the Alt button down, then that actually, or the left Alt, I should say, then that actually highlights all those areas. Now, this is very, very useful if you're looking at sleeper volumes. And again, I'd have to do all about these things in a different video. But these sleeper volumes, if you hold down the Alt, you can see all of them and see which ones are linked by their colours. And it's very useful when you really get into setting up your POI. We can also copy things. So let's say I really like this section here for some reason, and I want to extend by holding Shift and G, and I'll grab these things in here, maybe this body, these two chairs, and this little circle. Now if I hold Control C, it has actually copied that, and then I could go somewhere else, let's say over here, and I could create a new block. The best option is to actually just hold G and to bring that box to where you want it, and then you can paste it in there. But if you do actually hit the Z key, then it's always going to paste from the southwest corner, and it's going to go in this direction. So if I press Control and V, it will bring the box to the full size. If I go Control V again, then it will place it down. But maybe that wasn't quite where I wanted it. Well, again, Control Z to undo. But the best option that I find is to press Z and then Control, Shift and V. This brings it in so you can see it, but all that redness shows you that it is not just temporarily there. It allows you now to kind of move these things about and think, ah, that's the place I want it. And then you hit Control V and they pop into place. Backspace to get rid of the box. So here we are at Gas Station 04. A lovely little place which I've reviewed recently. I'll put a link at the end of this video if you want to see that POI review. But I've also done this up actually as a trader as well. But, you know, you'll have to come into Discord if you're interested in that. Now we're here. Let's deal with blocks, shall we? I'm going to press U. And if I bring up U, then I get the creative menu system. We've got all the different blocks. And we can pick and choose a few different things. Maybe I want a clothes rack and I want to bring that down here. Maybe I want a lovely pink roll-up door or something like that. Maybe I want a lovely rusty barrel and I place it on here. You can see I picked some other things earlier and here they are in my inventory for use. I can drag these down at any point, but I also have a double toolbar, and this toolbar I can go through with my scroll wheel. Of course, you can also press the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. in order to bring these things up. And if you want to jump up to the top row, you can press Shift and 1 and it'll jump straight up there. So let's place a barrel. Let's also place a clothes rack, and we've got to be very careful with these. Oh, I want to get rid of them. I want to get rid of them. So I'm going to use my admin gun. I'm going to shoot it. Yes. Oh, well, it shot the clothes out. Let me shoot it again. That's fantastic. But what do you think happens, even in editor mode, if I shoot an empty rusty barrel? Well, it starts to destroy my POI, which is, oh, excuse me, which is very, very, very annoying. So is there another way of deleting things? Well, yes, there is. If you have an empty hand, or if you have even a block in your hand, then you can walk up to one of these things and you can press Shift. And as you do, you get this beautiful little green box as you're holding left Shift. And if I just left click, then it will disappear without any horrible explosions and giant holes in your ground. Right then, I've reset the POI. Let's press Shift 1 and get the barrel out again and place it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on it and either press D or drag it to the side. It's going to fall onto the floor as a little block. But what if I didn't know what this was called? Well, I could go up to it and I could press U. It says rusty barrel, so if I type rusty in, we'll see all the different types of rusty barrels that there are. But maybe you've got an object like this where you don't necessarily know what the name is or what it's called in game. So what you can do is you can approach this and you can press F3, and on the side, I don't know if you've got high enough resolution on what you're watching on right now, but hopefully you can see that it has the name there, and it just says air. That's that's not actually the air conditioner, that just says air. Wherever I look, I just see air pretty much. If I hold down shift, then up comes what I am focused on, which is the actual air condition. I could search for that. The other way of doing it is just by pressing, once you get rid of F3, let me just press that for you, pressing F11, and that will bring up a separate type of information, but without having to press shift, you'll get the air conditioner block. Right, here we are back at the big house, and there's a few more keys and tips and tricks to kind of share with you. This one's all about the POI category marker. Shift enter and it brings up all the details of that. Well, that's a whole different video if you want it, but come and chat over Discord if you want to know more, or put a comment below if that's what you want to see. But there's a key that you need to know. Let's quickly get rid of that because it's always so very, very annoying for me to see. And we're going to head over to these blocks. Why not? Because these blocks will help us show you how to pick up blocks. Now, of course, we can do this in different ways. And if I press middle mouse button on this one and middle mouse button on this one, then we're going to pick up both of these types of shapes. And these are pre-painted, so if I want to place another one of these down here, I can do, and if I want to place one of those, I can do as well. There are other ways of doing it by holding control and then right click, but unfortunately if you do that way, then you will either punch the block if you have an empty hand, or you will end up placing down the block that you picked up or you have in your hand, which is very annoying. But the most important thing is we can grab these. It's a very quick way of doing this. So let's grab a few more. I'll grab this one, I'll grab that one. If there's something that you've already picked up before and you try and grab it and it's already in your hand, it won't pick up another set of them. I'll pick up a stop sign and a little person maybe, and maybe a torch. And as you can see, very, very quickly, your inventory and your hands are going to get very, very full in this game. Normally people kind of fly to the side and they press D, or they drag something to the side and it drops off into the distance. But sometimes you're inside your POI and you don't want to have to fly all the way out there in order to kind of clear your hands, but you definitely want to clear your hands. Well, the way I would do that is I would drop everything, and my little tip is to use the combination of left control and then del, or the period button on your numeric keypad, tapping that, and they all just disappear. Now let's go back out here and let's try over in this little section here. So I've got a couple of different ways of doing some funky things with the ground, but the main thing is, and let's fix this one. This is one always that people get. They place the grass, they place the block on top, and it gets ruined on the edge. So we're going to get our selection block, and with Shift G I'm going to extend it, and with just G being held I'm going to bring it down. Now if you hold this, you're going to we can mess with the height of the grass in here, and we do this with the arrow keys. You can use up and you can use down, you can use left and you can use right, you can use Shift up, down, left, right, and Control up, down, left, right, and it basically messes with it at different rates. And of course, as you can see here, we can change that level, but it doesn't fix this edging. Sometimes in some POIs you might want to take this and lift it up and kind of mess with the edging to kind of make it become a lip on the edge of it. But what we actually want to do is we want to fix this problem, go just to this side, and we're going to be messing with the earth or the terrain block that's within that block that's been placed. And when we do that, we can lift this and flatten this all out, pressing backspace to clear that, and that looks a lot better. They should certainly update this on the POI. We can also then, of course, take a block, place it in here, or if you're holding Shift when you press Z, it will place it directly into the ground. And again, we can just start messing with these things and kind of making them different levels. Maybe I want to move this across and just make this, put this down a bit, you know, and then you can somewhat, let's say, make a little undulation in the ground, and that can make all the difference in the very final design of your POI. There is a little trick that I got that can help in order to, you know, really help do this a bit quicker, and it involves those painted blocks. So let's get one of these blocks again outside here. Here's one right here, this lovely little plate, and I'm going to go left control and right click, grab one of those, shove it in my hand, and I'm going to hold it here. Now what I'm going to do is, this is the painted version and this is a plate, so if I press U, we can see down there, that's a concrete plate. If I now get a plate that's a concrete plate, but it isn't pre-painted, and we're going to, there's a pole plate, I don't want to get it mixed up with that. Many of these will actually work though. What we can do is get this plate, and you can see they're identical, except one has the icon and one doesn't. They actually, weirdly, I found out, act differently. So if I hold the concrete plate, and I go over to a piece of grass, especially kind of like, you know, you might not want to do this out in the middle of nowhere, but in a POI, and I hold down the shift button. When I right click, I place this in the ground, and you can see it's replaced this chunk of topsoil, and I can shoot it out, and this is now empty, and the game's had to kind of like make this weird kind of like notch out of the ground. If I do exactly the same but with the painted one, watch what happens. All it does is it slightly brings down the kind of level, and it allows me to kind of like mess around with my POIs and kind of just make random little undulations very quickly in this. Now it does mean you've got plates underneath there, but compared to outside in the middle of nowhere, it's very unlikely that someone's going to dig up this area. And when I do walk through here, we can have slightly undulating grassy verges, which makes it look just that little bit more realistic when you're in there. Now the very final stages of messing with your POI may be to put decals on the floor, these like little things that I showed you earlier on. But let me show you how to do it in a funky way. So we've got a piece of terrain here. Now this is the terrain block, this is tarmac. We've got the grass, which is terrain block. We've got a little bit of sand maybe here, but this here that I showed you some decals on earlier, this isn't. This is actually a full concrete block, and you can't put them on here. Let me show you. So if I go over here and I press left shift, left alt, and right click, up comes this little menu. I have to switch decal on, I have to pick which one I want. I think there's about 13 of them, I can't remember exactly, or there's 15 of them, but there's a couple missing, but you just put them in and learn what they are, and then boom, up comes the, say the blood splat is number 1. If you go over to a normal concrete block and do exactly the same thing, left shift, left alt and right click, you can still go through the process, but nothing will appear. So the best way to do it is to get your terrain blocks and mess with this. Now, there are all of these blocks here. If you do press the dev blocks, you do get a few extra. They're worth investigating. But if I get a bit of terrain filler here and place it on here, then, of course, this part here, even though it doesn't look flat, and I could get my little blue box in there and kind of level it out, but basically, if I leave it like this and I go left shift, left alt, and right click, I can put the decal on here. And I've got this kind of little blood splatter on here. Then if I go and get myself a sheet, and I get myself a sheet, and remember now, a sheet in concrete or a block in concrete has exactly the same hit points, which is great. Hold down R, go into advanced, and I'll make this lovely and flat again. So let's place this from here all the way over to here, and I'm going to press L, and now I've got a nice big concrete floor, and the decal shows up on top. Now this works well here because I've got this edging. I kind of take out these blocks because they kind of look a bit silly underneath, but basically, you know, you've got to mess around with it, but it's a nice way of getting these decals to appear on standard kind of flat areas that you will never see in any POI that's been actually made in game, which is quite nice. These ones over here, of course, these are bits of rubbish or bits of a sound or a noise trap that they put into game, and these are actually an object that you have to place manually, so they take up space. Of course, you can paint this as well, and I can take that texture and I could paint it all over it, and you would never know that anything is there at all. Now, I think finally, unless I remember something else and tag it onto the end, let's place a trader. So if we go in here, I don't think there's any zombies in this part. There is a zombie around here, and zombies are a bit more hassle to remove. You can point if you know the right place on their body and hold shift left click, but look at that. What did it do? It ended up blowing up this bit round here. So whenever you're deleting a zombie, it is best to use the block and actually move it around and highlight the bottom half of these zombies in order to delete them, because it's a right hassle. Best to press J and just make them kind of disappear. Let's get rid of these two so they don't annoy us when we play test this. And then we're going to go over here, let's say, and let's get Jen standing. Sorry, lady. Let's get Jen standing here, kind of behind this, shall we? So we're going to get a trader block. We're going to press U, and we're going to type in trader block. And this one's a right weird one. And I want to give a shout out to Gun Chronicles, links again below, who helped me with this one, because it took me, I never really knew it, or I didn't know the details of this one. So let's take this battery that's appeared. That's appeared even though the block looks like some metallic frame thing, and I'm going to rotate it, and if you have a look, there's lots of different coloured batteries. Now if you look at the green and red batteries, that's where the trader's actually going to be facing, so they're going to be facing this way, so that's the front of them. And just like we did with the decal, you hold down Shift and Alt on the left hand side of your keyboard, right click, and up comes the entity to spawn. So if we click on Jen and OK, this is now Jen. That's what she looks like. She is a robot. She runs on batteries, and she'll be standing there looking at us, and we'll be able to use her as a way to trade. So why don't we, I think I might get rid of that before I stand on that in playtest mode. Why don't we head into playtest mode and actually have a go? Right, playtester mode. Let me grab a little gun just in case somebody else horrible appears. I'm going to go into God mode now and just fly over here. There we go, nothing to blow me up. No zombies should appear around there. And who have we got? Well, we have Trader Jen. There she is. She's facing in that direction, and we can talk to her, and I can see her inventory, and I can do all those things.
Things turned up missing the other day.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
You don't know anything about
No, I don't. She's always trying to blame me. I'll leave her to it. Of course, there's always something I forget. Now, I've got a little tip for you, and then I need your help with something I don't understand in the editor, and I'm sure to have missed something. But let's just have a look at a normal kind of standard blocker, one where I can change the shape by holding down R and changing the shape. This is a standard little frame or a variable helper or something like that, like as a piece of concrete. And if I place it down, that's great. I can also hold R, and I can change the materials on it. Let's pick a target, and there it is. It's got a target all over it, and I can place that too. Now this isn't now a painted block. This is a standard block that has some paint on it, if you get what I mean. So if I press Z and I make myself a big area here, and I press L to fill, unfortunately it doesn't fill it with all that painted kind of block deal, but maybe I do want that. So let's undo this and get rid of the blue box. What the best way of doing this is to get your little selection block, bring it over, and then Control C. Actually take a copy of that block. That means that when you actually want to fill in a large space and you press Control V, it will fill it up with that, which is obviously different to if you have a painted block itself. So when I copied it, you can see the block at the bottom became that painted block, but it's just an easy way of doing that. Now, can you help me with my next problem? So here's my little problem. Something I didn't tell you earlier is if you like get a selection box and then hold down G, you can use WASD to kind of move it about, which sometimes is really useful. But if I hold Shift and G and I use WSAD, then what happens is I end up getting these yellow little boxes. You can also use C and space in order to do these things, but I just don't know what those yellow faces of the box means. And if I press any 1 or 2 or 3 of these, and then I let go of G before letting go of the actual WSAD, C or space, it's left on there. Now I just don't know what it's used for. I can now move that about. I can place it against things. Like, does it have any meaning? I can't seem to find any use for it whatsoever. Maybe you can. Well, there we have it. Every single key that I think I can remember in this prefab and level editor. Here is something that I've been making. It's the stand tower, but all fixed up, not fallen over, and my Mega Crush company, with, of course, the mysterious yellow box around it. So thank you for watching. Of course, head over to the Discord to meet the community, download this POI and many other maps and POIs too, and of course find a lovely printable list of all the keys that I've mentioned today. And a super thanks to Level 50 Unlock to help me compile the list of all the keys. Click all the nice buttons, leave me a lovely comment, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.